Let me start since I know him. I'm doing this for one reason. A 20-year friendship with both Laura and Kirk Kistner. What's the best thing that can happen if you ask for a gift face to face?
They say yes,
Okay, what's the worst thing that can happen?
just damage the relationship.
Okay, the reason I went through that exercise, can everybody see and hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, here's an inescapable truth, and that's just why I went through this exercise. You are never going to hear yes. I promise. I don't care who you are, what organization you're asking for, and how much. You're never going to hear less yes unless you risk hearing no. I'm sorry, there's no way around the reality. Okay. The first thing I want to do is thank you for the most valuable gift of all, your time. You know, I've been doing this longer than I like to admit, and there are two gifts that people can give you: money and time. And guess what? As you get older and your hair gets all gray like mine, you actually realize that time is the more precious of the gifts because, unlike money, it can never be replaced. So thank you for your time, and we're going to try to make the best use of your time. And you know, we're going to go fast. You've heard of a New York minute, and we're going to make this the new Braunfels minute. We're going to move fast, and so pardon me, but I'm going to keep things moving along. The way I see it, we have four goals today. Number one, we want to know about your attitudes towards fundraising, and very importantly, I want to hear one line from each of you. What makes New Braunfels Housing Partners stand out from all the other good causes? And then I'm going to provide, usually I take maybe an hour or two, I'm going to condense it into like 12 minutes, a mini course on the highlights of the art and science of fundraising. And then, Kelly, have we recruited 3 people for the elevator exercises?
No, I don't remember hearing that. Sorry, Jim. But I'm sure we can do that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. Okay, we need 3 people. Be thinking of that. And finally, we're going to close with some homework assignments, okay? Okay, let's go around the table. Let's start with Matt since he's on the highway. Matt, what's the best thing you enjoy about serving on the board?
Thing is to be able to serve the population that we serve that are, I mentioned earlier that housing is a basic human necessity.
Right.
And so being able to provide that is probably the best thing for me.
Okay, and let's keep on moving. Let's go to Bethany. What do you enjoy most about serving on the board?
Feeling like I'm helping to make an impact on our community.
Okay. And Kirk, what's the best thing you enjoy about serving on the board?
So it's my belief that probably 90% of the population is one big impact away from potentially being in a position to need our help, and that we have.
Can you slow down there for a moment? That astounds me. Did you say 90%?
Yeah.
That astounds me. Okay. Okay. Wow. Because I think of New Braunfels as a kind of a higher demographic. That astounds me. Okay. Lacey, what do you enjoy most about serving on the board?
I enjoy being part of a group, board and staff, that genuinely cares about this community and the passion for helping them retain or regain their dignity, even when they're going through some of these problems.
Okay. And Lewis, what do you enjoy most about serving on the board?
Oh, just having a shared vision with peers that I serve with on the board.
Okay.
Watching the individuals that we service transition to stable housing.
Okay. And finally, Leslie, what do you enjoy most about serving on the board?
Just, working with people that have a shared vision.
Okay. Okay, now let's go around the table. Try to keep this to one sentence. I know you probably could go on for a long time, but actually in fundraising, less is more. And let us start with Matt. You know, there are, guess how many nonprofits there are in the country, Matt?
Country, I would say 1,000.
In the country, okay, 2 million, okay? Guess how many in Texas?
100,000.
That's a right on the dot, okay? You get yourself an extra Slurpee when you stop and go. Okay, and guess how much in the San Antonio, New Braunfels corridor? Guess how many nonprofits?
20,000.
I would say that, yeah.
About 6,000. Now, here's the dilemma. When you're a donor, you're not choosing between the good and the bad. You're choosing between the good and the good. And so the big challenge for a nonprofit like New Braunfels Housing Partner is to say something that the other nonprofits can't. They're not choosing between the good and the bad, but the good and the good. So let's go in that rotation. I'd like to get as succinct statement as possible, starting with Matt, I guess. I'm trying to remember, and we'll try to catch everyone here. And by the way, Kelly, do you mind if I leave you out of the discussion?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
What's that?
Yes, it's good.
Okay, let's start with Matt. What do you think that New Braunfels Housing Partner can say that all these other good causes can't?
That we're providing real measurable results for the most vulnerable people in our community.
Okay. And let's go next to Bethany. What do you think you all can say that all these other good causes can't say?
NB Housing Partners provides wraparound services and shelter to adult males and couples in New Braunfels.
Yeah.
And the greater Scranton area.
Yeah. Okay, and Kurt, what do you think you all can say? Did I get hit?
Very similar to what Bethany said. I think we have a lot of tools in our toolbox and go above and beyond just finding housing solutions for people. It incorporates more than that. And we're doing our best to provide overall solutions for those in need.
Okay, thank you. Lacey, what do you think you all can say that all these other good causes can't say?
I think in addition to trying to correct or help with the problem that somebody has, we're also trying to prevent them from encountering that problem in the first place.
Yeah. Okay, and then Leslie, did I get Bethany? Did I forget? Did I get Bethany? Okay, Leslie, what do you think that you all can say that all the other good causes can't say?
I have no idea.
Okay, I mean, thank you for your honesty, because you at least, that's a very important point there. Okay, let me tell you, if you are scared of asking for a gift, especially face to face, it is the most natural thing of the world. I say there are 3 things everyone is scared of. One is death, another one is taxes, and a third one is in-laws. Okay. And then I would asking for a gift face to face. So if you're scared, it's completely natural. And most people are, and my wife constantly reminds me it's a good thing, because if everyone wasn't scared, I wouldn't have a job, for the last 30 years. And I'm totally convinced that fear is based more on fear of the unknown, that most people have not been inside a solicitation and they don't know. And if there's nothing else, by the way, if you don't take away from this, everybody thinks fundraising is just about the solicitation. To be sure, the solicitation is very, very essential, but it doesn't matter unless these other 4 parts of the gift cycle are done effectively. Number 1, and that is identifying likely prospects, okay? And all of you can do that. Number 2 is cultivating them, and that would be introducing people from your professional, your personal, and your communal networks to the mission of New Braunfels Housing Partners. And then there's the face-to-face solicitation. Now, if you, in the fourth one, we'll go back to the second, and the other one is thanking them. Because if we go to Kurt and he gives us a gift of whatever, 10 shekels, we're going to go back to him next week or next year, and we're going to ask him, thank you, would you consider increasing that to 20? And so that's acknowledging and thanking them for their last gift, because you're not thinking of a single transaction, you're thinking about lifetime donor value. Now, as some of you all are scared, I saw that you answered some of the questions of a face-to-face solicitation, then we're going to have to find some of you, Kelly for number one, to make that solicitation. Or if you have board members, who on the board, can you raise your hand? You're not afraid of making a face-to-face ask. I see Kirk up. I think Kirk
Yeah,
has it in the Kistner. Okay, you got other people. So the rest of you, you don't even have to, you can contribute mightily to resource development success, okay? Let's explain a little, and really, if you do the other phases of the gift continuum, the asking is more, it's almost easy. I don't care if you build awareness, interest, commitment, you see these things, you're going to be in a very, very high likelihood of getting the gift. But if you don't do these things, I don't care how good the solicitation is. Let's talk about discovery is who are likely prospects. We've invented a formula called CIA, and it's not the Central Intelligence Agency. Number one, it's the capacity, money, the wealth, the gifts. I think far too many people could start there. Now, that's not to be discounted, but just because someone has a lot of money doesn't mean they're going to be philanthropic or they're going to be interested in your cause, okay? Number two is that interest in your cause is inclination, okay? And that can be verified, like they have given to a similar mission. They've indicated to that you in a personal conversation. You have some clues that they're interested in the homeliness of New Braunfels in ensuring that every man and woman child has a roof over their heads. And even if you have capacity and inclination, you need access. You need to set up. If you want a larger gift, if you let's call it anywhere from, I mean, a major gift. Kelly, what do you call them? What do you all call a major gift? Or Bethany, what do you all call a major gift?
Probably $10,000 or $20,000.
Okay, that's good. You're going to have to meet with them face to face. You know, a letter, an email, a phone call is not going to be able to get you a gift of magnitude. It might get you a gift of $100, and there's nothing wrong with a gift of $100. But the theme of this is more money, more mission. You know, the $10,000, $20,000 is going to really energize your mission. And you need, I call it by access. What I meant, you need someone to break the ice. You need members of your board or other donors who have a personal relationship. And this is how I define a personal relationship. That is somebody who will be able to get their phone call returned. I get very suspicious when Kirk says, oh, I'm going to see him, you know, at a Chamber of Commerce dinner next Tuesday, and there's like 1,000 people there. I don't call that a personal relationship. That's, you know, that's serendipity. Okay. You need people, if they have a relationship, they can get a cell phone call returned. Okay. So that's discovery. The next one is huge, and that's how we introduce them to the mission. Bethany, what are some of the best ways that you all can introduce people to your mission?
Through community engagement events,
Such as
having like a happy hour in a not super giant location, or having an educational outreach opportunity where once again we have engagement and the opportunity to actually talk to people.
Can they see some of your projects in action? Can they see can you show them some of the population in New Braunfels that's benefiting from your projects?
I feel like we have done a really pretty good job of,
Good.
putting together videos of actual program participants and their experience. And we do have a lot of visual aids in terms of, you know.
Okay, I got a question, but can you show them face to face?
No, we potentially could, but it's a pretty vulnerable population, so it would be, challenging to try to.
Okay.
One of our
Okay,
participants.
but you can show them videos. It's like, just like here, it's the next best thing. Is that right?
Could we tour them through our facility?
And we do that some, right?
Right.
Yeah, we already do that, and we did that
typically don't take
recently.
them in the sleeping area.
Yeah.
Right.
They,
I understand.
but we can also introduce them to somebody who's there that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we did tour. them.
So, okay, we call that site visits, okay? And
Yep.
they're here, you know, we do that. Kirk knows that I'm from a background in higher education, like his wife. And we'd love to take prospects to the classroom, to meet faculty, to see the facilities. Okay, so there are some type of site visits, I hear you can do. And here's the rule of thumb. Money follows time. The more time you get from a prospect, the more likelihood you're going to be able to ask them and get a gift. Okay. And that to me, you know, people wonder, when are we ready to ask? If you can get someone interested in watching your video or meeting with a board member or taking a site visit, that's flashing a green light. Okay. And on the other hand, if you can't get a opportunity to talk to them, they're also sending you a signal. I think it's going to be very challenging to get a gift. So money follows time. The more time that the prospective donor gives you to talk, to take site visits, to watch videos, they're flashing a green light that they think it asks for money. Okay. Solicitation, you know, is the pretty obvious part. I believe, you know, there are other ways besides face to face, but again, if you want $10,000 to $20,000, I think you're going to have to see them face to face. And I think it's not really that complicated. You're asking always, if you don't remember anything, you ask for a specific amount, such as $10,000, such as $100,000, such as $1,000. Okay, but you don't say, can you support us? You ask for a specific amount for a specific cause. You have 4 different programs. Bethany, do you have an unrestricted fund?
Actually, that's probably a better question for Kelly. Do we have an unrestricted fund?
Isn't most of our donation
Yeah,
unrestricted?
most of it.
Yeah, we have very few restricted donations. Most is just general giving.
Oh, that's good. I always say that one unrestricted dollar is worth 2 or several restricted dollars. So you ask, we'd like you to consider a gift to say $10,000. Do you call that fund something, or for general operations? What do you call that unrestricted fund?
Isn't it just it's just our operating fund, but we have, I mean, we do sort of capital campaigns for specific building projects, so people do donate to that, but it is a large project, so that money is pretty unrestricted inside the scope of this.
Well, my point is, you ask for a specific amount for a specific project, be it for one of your programs or general operations, and you're asking that it be paid by a certain time, say by September 1, 2026, by December 31, 2026. That is really the 3 components of an ask. You're asking for a specific amount. Please do not ask without mentioning an amount. And there's some science and art coming up with that amount, but you know, there's no other way around it. And then for a purpose, is it one of your programs and services? Is it for general operations? And also you give them a clue on what time. Do you want it by September, by December? So 3 things that goes into an ask. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Finally, stewardship. and I said, the big thing is when we go to Lacey, we are going to acknowledge and thank her. What are the different ways that you all thank donors? Lacey, what are the different ways you thank donors for their gifts?
I mean, other than face to face, verbally, we have handwritten notes. I have personally
Hey,
handwritten.
wait a minute, can you stop? I love handwritten notes.
Yeah,
Whoever
I've personally handwritten a lot of notes.
I love, you know why? I get a ton of email, I get a ton of texts, I get a ton of social media, and I get a ton of junk mail. Guess how many handwritten notes I get? I'll be
Zero.
lucky. I'll be lucky if I get one in a week. I am a ferocious proponent that will make you set apart. And the handwritten note, now you got to do other things. You got to send a letter for IRS purposes so they can keep for their tax documentation. But as soon as say they commit to a $10,000 gift, I mean, I'm a little, not a little, I'm very paranoid. I made a point of I wanted them to get a handwritten note in that same mail cycle. So I knew where mailboxes close at 4 o'clock, at 6 o'clock. I know that the airport was the latest one here in San Antonio at 9 o'clock. I want them to get a handwritten note. I love that. What are other ways you thank people? Bethany, what are other ways you thank donors?
On social media, through public acknowledgement, like if we're in a large group, at an
Yeah.
event.
This is good. You know, you can never thank a donor too much, okay? In fact, we'd like to say it's called the rule of 7X, that every donor should be thanked in 7 different ways. Now, I know, Kelly, you all probably have to tell them, send them a letter for their tax purposes before January 31 of the following year. Okay. And, you know, there's an official form letter you can send. You can send an email, you can call them, you can recognize them at a meeting. But if you really want like $10,000 or $20,000 or more dollars, try to, and he could be multiple board members. This is a great way for board members to get their feet wet in fundraising, is to make phone calls that have no other agenda than thanking the donor. And by the way, I realize that oftentimes you're going to get a voicemail, and guess what? That's okay. Just say, I'm Kurt Kisner, I'm the vice chair of the board, and I want to let you know how much your gift of $1,000 means to putting us in a position to put a roof over the head of every new Braunfels man, woman, and child. Okay. And that way they'll hear it. And, the nice thing about a voicemail, you can replay it. Okay. So that's a great way. Okay. And again, and by the way, I love who did the handwritten notes. I just love that. That is
Lacey.
something.
I mean, lots of people, that was one of the big things I did when I first started on the board.
That is a great, let me tell you, because how many handwritten notes do you receive?
Not many, but I love it when I get one from a nonprofit that I've donated to. You are correct.
You know what? You're right. And also, having people tend to save them. I mean, I send like a million email. I don't know anybody who really keeps my email, There's just something very, very personal about a handwritten note. So I salute that. And don't downplay having board members make a phone call and just leave, I'm serving on the board and I want you to know how much your gift, and mention it, of $1,000 for so-and-so program means to our mission and what it will accomplish. Okay. And if they leave a message, that's fine. Okay, let's have some $1,000,000 conversations. Let's see. I gotta see how we're doing with time, and thank you. You're all we're making off a little time here. We need 3 people to get into an elevator. Okay, and who wants to go first? I'm gonna ask for a volunteer.
Lacey,
I don't know what we're doing, but I'll do it.
Okay, Lacey, let's see if we can put you in an elevator. You ever hear of Bill Gates?
Yes.
Okay, guess what? You're in Seattle, Washington, okay? And you're in the Hyatt Regency Hotel. And you get on an elevator, okay? And there's Bill Gates. And he sees your name and he sees a name badge and it says New Braunfels Housing, Partners. And by the way, let me see, a little background on Bill Gates. Not, I'm sorry, I'm fumbling through all my notes now. I have to go to, I'm gonna find it because of the other people I need. And, Bill Gates right now is 70 years old. He's a mere piker. He used to be one of the richest men in the world. He's only worth $108 billion, but he has donated, reason his wealth is not that great. He's donated $60 billion to different causes, okay? And he's already said he is going to spend down his entire foundation. So who was it, Lacey? Who I have here?
Lacey,
That, okay, Lacey. He sees your name badge and he says, Lacey, you might have heard of me. I have a foundation and we give out some money. Why should I consider the New Braunfels Housing Partners?
oh, okay. I mean, am I trying to follow your little protocol of, you know, these things that we talked about warming up and they ask, or just what would I say to him?
No, I'm just saying you got, okay, this is an elevator drill. In
Okay.
other words, you got 2 minutes. You're on floor number 1, and maybe he's going to floor 15. You're lucky if you have 2 minutes.
Okay, if he's asking about NB Housing Partners and why you should give to us, we are very community minded. We have supported, dedicated staff that are trying to help eliminate a housing problem in the area, and we're trying to give people the help that they need to prevent that, so that hopefully future generations don't have the same problems that we are trying to correct for right now.
Okay. Who wants to go next? Thank you. That was very good. Who wants to go
Bethany wants
next?
to go.
Fine, I'll go.
Who wants to go? I'm sorry, you didn't hear?
Bethany's gonna go.
Okay, Bethany. Okay. Have you heard of Mackenzie Scott?
Yes.
Who hasn't, right? She's 55 years old. Okay, and she has an estimated worth of about $40 billion. And she has given away, I mean, she is the superwoman of philanthropy. Since 2019, she's given away more than $26 billion to nonprofits. Get this, with no strings attached. No string attached. Okay. She's a real trendsetter. Okay. And she supported a lot of underserved organizations. For considering she gave a lot of money, and I did a show with 4 of the recipients. She's given over 150 million to organizations in San Antonio, since we're primarily a minority community and we're underserved and we're under the average income. So, Bethany, there you are in the elevator with Mackenzie Scott, and let's move it around. You're at the Marriott, okay? And she sees, wow, she's the chairman. And there's Bethany Benson, who's the chairman of the New Braunfels Housing Partners. And she goes, Bethany, you might have heard, I give it away $26 billion. Why should I consider the New Braunfels Housing Partners as one of a potential recipient of our awards?
NB Housing Partners provides homelessness solutions. We serve as a catalyst to create housing stability through supportive and sustainable solutions, and we are the only agency in New Braunfels that provides shelter to males and couples.
Very good. Who wants to go next?
Louis wants to go.
Louis, okay. It's probably pretty unlikely you're going to bunch into the others, but this guy, there's a good chance you could bump into. He lives in San Antonio. Charles Butt now is 88 years old. He's never been married. He has no children. His estimated value, guess how much he's worth, Louis?
Never heard of it, so no.
HEB. It's HEB. It's the guy that runs HEB.
No. He personally, not HEB. Guess how much he's worth personally?
Few billion, 60 billion?
$2.5 billion.
Okay, well, he's the richest person in our region, 11 billion, okay? And he's gearing up. Most people think about HEB and everything, but he's put in place a private foundation. And he also, now he has no heirs, and his siblings and their children are very well taken care of. So he's going to be a huge source of philanthropic leadership. And if you're going to bump into someone in an elevator, it probably in downtown San Antonio would be Charles Butt. Charles sees your name badge and it says, New Braunfels housing partner. And he says, I'm really gearing up my foundation to give out money to good causes. What should I know about New Braunfels housing partners?
We have a small community here in New Braunfels that are desperate need of additional resources to help sustain the services and commitment that we provide to our community. We would truly be appreciative of any donation or knowledge. In my opinion, donations is just one aspect of it, but the man of this statue, I'm sure he has other valuable nuggets that may not necessarily be monetary that he could share with this agency. So we actually try to pick his brain in that small time frame in the elevator to see if he could kick some resources our way, not necessarily monetary, but also some of his.
Hey, let me ask you, Lewis, there's nothing wrong with money, okay?
What was that?
There's nothing wrong with asking for money.
No,
These are major, I want you to know that these are major philanthropists. When you're worth over, even he's by far the most modest of the billionaires, but what was he, 90 years old no, he's 88 years old, worth $11 billion, no heirs. Let me tell you, he can consider cash, okay?
Jim, did you freeze? There you are, you're back. Good.
I'm sorry?
You're back.
Who's speaking now? I can't hear you.
You froze for a second, but you're back now.
Okay, I'm saying, don't underestimate. Nothing's better than money, okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
yes.
And when you're that size, money is very typical. If you're a smaller company and, probably what they call in-kind donations is appropriate. I love this. Kelly gave me this slide. And Kirk, I can't believe the statistic you shared that 90% of the population is like one step away from housing security or insecurity. I mean, you all have such an admirable mission. Okay, Kelly, I think we're doing pretty good on time. Kelly, how are we doing good on time?
Yeah, we have about 15 minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna let you, I want to go through the homework, but anyways, any general questions at this stage? Anybody? Any general question?
No, sir.
Let's go through your homework. Have you all set? First of all, Bethany, how much money did you raise last year?
In total, through
Yeah.
just asking or through grants?
Both.
All together, it all accomplishes your mission. Typically there are three sources of money. There's contributed income, and that's philanthropy. There's earned income, and that's if you sell programs or services. And finally, there's government, okay? But what's your overall, how much money did you all bring in last year? Or Kelly, you can step in, okay, Kelly?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, $2.691 million.
Sounds like it came off your 1099. And do you have a goal? That was last year. Do you have a goal for this year?
More than that.
What's
So
that?
no, we don't have a goal probably right now.
I don't think we have a specific goal other than what our needs are for the next stages of our building project.
Well, I would be, I think it's very important to have a goal. And I would compute, take all your projects. This is the money. I'm a donor. I want to know how the money is going to be used. Okay. And I think if you can lay out a budget, if you raise, what was it? Was it 6 or 2.7 last year?
619.
Okay. Say you want to raise 3.5. Okay. 3.5 million for 2026 or 2077. Are you on a calendar or a fiscal year?
Calendar,
Okay, let's just say you want to raise 3.5. I think most donors want to see how would you spend that money, okay? Is that reasonable? Can you show them? If you set a goal, you also want to show this is what we need, that 3.5 or whatever that number is. It could be lower, it could be higher. Okay. I think donors deserve to know, not what deserve, they're gonna want to know what you're gonna spend that money on. Is that possible?
Yes, and we do that currently. We talk about the cost of our building projects and how much we
Well,
need to raise for that.
yes, you also have that in our operating budget.
Yes,
So you do have a goal. Do you have a goal for 2026?
Yes,
What is it?
I don't know it off the top of my head. I think it's
Okay,
close to 600,000 that we still need to raise that we don't have right now.
that's in addition to 2.6.
Now, that's part of the, whatever the overall budget is.
I'm a little confused. What's your overall goal for 2026?
I don't know how to say it.
So
Maybe you need to work on that, but I'm just gonna
We
say,
do,
as a
we
donor,
already
We have a budget for 2026, but we also have a $600,000 shortage.
Yeah.
So that's, the shortfall is 600K.
The rest has already been raised.
so your total goal is 2.6 plus 600,000, is that right, Kirk?
yes,
Roughly,
Yes, for
yes.
numbers purposes, yes.
yes.
Okay, because I think here's a recommendation. I gotta tell you, I felt some holes there. If I was one of these people considering making a major gift, I would want to see a budget. This is how we're gonna use, it sounds like it's 3.2 million, okay, or whatever it is, you know? I think you have to have a stretch but realistic goal, and you should show what gets you to that 3.2 million or whatever it is, okay? Another thing, Kelly, did everyone get a prospect worksheet?
Yes,
Does everyone have that?
Yes, sir.
Can I ask each of you to fill that out? That's not so when you're necessarily gonna ask for money, but the ultimate goal is to ask them for at least the gift or 1,000 or more. We'll take smaller gifts, but as board members, you should be asking in the higher amounts, okay? So you should identify, and do the sheets make do they make sense? You know, it's the typical contact, and it's going through what we know about them as far as their, three things about their capacity, their inclination, and their access. Can everybody fill out one prospect that they can introduce to the mission? Can everyone do that?
Yes,
Kelly and Bethany, can you assign someone, and let's give them a timetable of when they can turn those names in? How long? Should we give them a week, a month, 10 years? Let's give them everything should have a deadline.
be the next board meeting.
Yeah, before our next board meeting.
Okay, before your next board meeting. And do you have Bethany, do you have a development chair?
We do not.
What's that?
We do not.
You need one, okay? Make that a homework by next month. If you think it's possible to put someone in place in 4 weeks, because then you need someone working. Bethany and Kelly are like fantastic, but they can't do all the work. That's a very key project area, because when these prospect sheets come in, there's someone who's going to have to work on the follow-up, okay? Typically, a development share is important and supported by Kelly and Bethany is an appropriate person to do that. Can we, by the next meeting, recruit a development chair?
probably not.
Hey, you're honest. You wouldn't make it in Washington. You're honest.
Yeah, we'll probably need to recruit somebody that's not on the board right now.
Okay, well, I think that's very important, okay? How about making phone calls? Say in the next month, the gifts come in over $1,000. Assign them to you have what, 11 members of your board? Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Assign them to gifts of $1,000 that come in to randomly assign those to members of the board and who will just make a simple phone call. The phone call will have no other agenda, than thanking them. We just love receiving your gift of X amount, give the date and give the purpose. And we want you to know that it is going to make a huge difference in ensuring that every man, woman, and child in New Braunfels has a roof over their head. So is that something board members would be willing to do? You're probably going to get a voicemail. And by the way, that's just the world we're in. And there's nothing wrong. I got to tell you, someone's going to play that voicemail. They're not going to expect it from the board. They might expect it from the staff, but they will not expect it from the board. Is that acceptable to the board members to make thank you calls?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Great. Okay, the last one, we didn't have time. Usually I take about much longer for this, is rehearsing an ask. I think that for those I saw a couple hands for those who are comfortable. I know Kirk, who was comfortable making the ask. Raise your hand again. Kirk.
Lacey, Bethany.
May I suggest the next time you make an ask, you take with you somebody who's not comfortable making ask and see how you do it. Okay.
Absolutely.
And I got news for you. Guess what happens? If you hear yes, you say hallelujah. If you say no, fundraising as we know it goes back to 1643 to this little college called Harvard. That's when they started fundraising. And because they got such a head start on it, they now have an endowment of $57 billion. That's bigger than the GDP of a couple of countries. And all that time, so 1643, everybody heard no. Guess what? There was no physical harm, no emotional harm done to it. Okay. You're not putting yourself in harm's way. And as I said at the very beginning, you don't have a chance of hearing yes unless you're willing to hear no. And the sun will come. I guarantee you, if you hear no, the sun will come up the next day. I promise you. Okay. And I've heard so many no's. I can't count them all. Okay. And guess what? And that's all part of the business. All of you that are Kirk's business, I don't know anybody who's in a position of trying to get things done that doesn't hear no. That's just how the world moves. Okay, I'm going to leave you with an ironclad money guarantee. The more you ask, the more you get. I want you all to repeat that together. The more you ask, the more you get. Let's say that. You got to ask. I got to tell you, I've been in meetings and we talk about strategy and we're waiting for the sun and moon to align and all this. But at the bottom of the day, there's going to be no chance of getting money unless you ask. And the best for major gifts is face to face. I think what we're going to do, Kelly, John, did you get everything? We've recorded this session. We plan to send you a copy of this recording tomorrow, and I'm going to put some notes in there. You'll have it by tomorrow morning, and I'm going to send it to all board members, and I hope you'll encourage the people who are unable to join us for various reasons to watch it too, okay? So I want to thank you, first of all, again, for the service and leadership. I have learned a lot more about New Braunfels, and I've learned a lot more about the housing, security challenge there. And I also want to talk about personal relationships. There's one reason I'm doing this. I have so much respect for Laura and Kirk Kistner. Kirk, I hope you don't mind. I mentioned Laura first.
No,
listen,
I
yeah.
100% agree.
Bethany, when you called me and I heard the name Kistner, I jumped to it. And that's what you want to do. You want to use these personal relationships, okay? And not cold calls, people from your professional, your personal, or your civic organizations, and people that will return your phone call. I think Kelly and Bethany, I think we actually kept to the timetable?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
That's pretty good. Hey,
Yeah.
listen, I want to thank you all for your service. I'm in business because my wife and I are inspired by pardon me, nonprofit leaders like yourself and that make things go and make good things happen in this country. Okay.